Hey, Derek.
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
Good, good. I have actually a problem. So I'm part of the application compliance team, and I have a new boss. He's painful. His name is Jean-Michel. And my new boss, we are very happy about the new product we just, acquired, data center automation. It's an amazing product for compliance and remediation, and we do risk vulnerability management and so on. But he has a new requirement for me, and this requirement is he wants me to check manually each application to do a health check, remediate if this application doesn't work well, and do reporting on it. And even if I love your product, I struggle with that. You need to help me. Can you do something on
You're
that?
so he makes you open up the application and test it, what, like a human would? You're not allowed to just ping the port or check if the service is up. You actually have to
No, no,
open the
no.
UI.
It's not that easy. He wants to because we had, some outage, and he wants to be sure that the application is up and running, and we test it as an end user. So I need to use my browser, connect to the application, do a few clicks, test the web links, and move on to the next application.
Oh
And I
man,
need to do
how
this
many
kind of reports.
applications how many applications do you have?
150.
And you've got
So
to do all of those. Oh man, that is painful.
yes.
That is painful. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I know you're already using DCA to automate your compliance in your desired state for your application servers, but we can do this too. We do have to bring in another product from Micro Focus called Robotics Process Automation, and let me show you how that works. But I think we can help you with your problem. So first thing I'm going to do is show you the robot. So in Robotics Process Automation, we have a robot. It allows us to record activity and automate with it like a human would. So the first thing we're going to do is make our recording. Now, is this the application that that one of the applications you need to test?
Yes, exactly.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start the recording. So what's going to happen is the robot is going to open up the application. Now it's recording what we do. So what do you have to do to check it? So the page loaded. I see the home page here. What else do you have to do?
So this is great. So then the first thing I do is I click on Home.
So you click on List Resources. All right.
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm guessing what, drill into one of these resources?
Yes, exactly.
All right. We can drill in. And it looks like the application seems to be working. So that's our test. And then maybe you need to go view all of the jobs, let's say. So let's look at the jobs view here. And we'll just make sure this loads. And it did. Okay. So that's what you have to do to ensure that this application is working. Okay. So let's stop the recording now. So the robot captured everything we did in the application. It opened up the application. It used web protocol to find and open the objects in a browser like a human would. So that's the first step. That's our recording. Now, the second part we have to do is we have to automate this. So we need to make a process. And in our process, we design it here in our orchestration studio, our web designer. And this web designer allows both orchestration as code and orchestration as clicks like you see here. So you can use our out-of-the-box content and drag on the operation to trigger the RPA robot. And then once we trigger the robot, and all we do here is we come in and we put our parameters in, where our robot is, the test that we recorded with the robot. And then once we trigger that robot test, we need to get the output. So we drag in another out-of-the-box piece of the content to get output from the previous robot run. And we tie it together like this, and that's it. It's that simple. Now, let me ask you, let's say that the application is not compliant. The UI is not up. How do you fix it?
My boss is very painful. He's a French guy, and he wants me to connect to the server using SSH, and then I need to clone the repo again from my Git source repository and deploy my application on my, web server, and then do a compliance again, meaning a check health to check if it's working. So it would be amazing if you can have a remediation robotic workflow to remediate this, incident.
Yeah, sure. So that's what I've got set up here for remediation when the application is not compliant. We're going to clone a Git repository, so bring in the new fresh application, and then we're going to bring in the application configuration with a second SSH command. So that's our remediation. So we've got our compliance check designed using the robot, and we've got our remediation actions designed using the orchestrator. So now that we've got those two pieces together, I can show you how the whole solution works. So if we go back here, now I need to minimize the server here that the robot's on. Now if we go back here, this is DCA. You're familiar with this product already. And what we do is we make a custom control. And in this custom control, we're able to call the operations orchestration flow, which in turn calls the robot. So I came in here and I made a custom control, and it's got both an evaluation script. So this is your remediation script that's going to call OO to check the application with a robot. And then remediation action is going to call OO, and it's going to remediate your action. So now once we have those controls made, they get attached to a benchmark. And that benchmark gets attached to a policy. And the policy, I'll show you here, that I set up is company application health check. And now, how often does JM or Jean-Michel require that you check this application for compliance?
Yeah, each 5 days.
5 days. Okay, and with this company application, if it's down, I'm guessing it probably needs to be back up within a day, I would guess, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So we can set our service level objectives here. So now we have a service level objective that this application needs to be up and working. The UI needs to be functional. We're going to check this application every 5 days. And if we find any problems with that application not being compliant, the UI not coming up, we're going to remediate it within 1 day. So that's our policy here. And I guess we have a required field here. Okay, so now that we've got our policy set up, let's go take a look at the resource group. And I know that this application is hosted on a server that belonged to your desired state group. So let me show you what I did here. So I went in and all I did was found this server for your application Z server and this resource group here. And I added the policy for company application health check RPA. That's the policy that we just made. So now we've got our service levels set, and we've got a policy attached to our application servers. But I see here we don't have a maintenance window. So let's create a maintenance window. How often do you get a window? So you've got to check it every 5 days. I'm guessing, and if you got to remediate if it's not up, you got 1 day. I'm guessing you probably need like a daily window.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll select a daily window. Now in this window, if it's non-compliant, I'm assuming you probably want to be able to do remediation to fix the application in the window too. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so we'll do a daily window. And what time does your window start?
7 p.m.
All right, 7 p.m. And we'll go ahead and do a 240-minute window. So that's how long you'll have every day in your window. So now we'll hit save. Now, if we have a service level objective and we've got a maintenance window set up, these jobs should be already scheduled. So this work that JM has you doing every day, it should be scheduled. It should happen automatically. And let's see if DCA has scheduled it automatically. I'll take a look here.
This is amazing because you solve not just one problem, but also the intelligent scheduling, because before it was completely difficult for us to manage, the maintenance window, SLO and MSLO. So this is great actually, because you can also simplify my work.
Absolutely. And you see here that the intelligent scheduler, it's already scheduling other jobs for other things. But here you go. Here's your application health check. So just by setting the service level objective in the maintenance window, it's already figured out that to keep you compliant and out of trouble with Jean-Michel, it needs to scan this resource on April 25th at 9:25. So it's already set up to take care of you. But now I don't want to wait around for this schedule
Yeah,
to run.
show me the stuff, prove it.
Yeah, I need to prove to you that this works. I'm a geek. I like the tech, and so let's show you how this
Yeah.
works here. So first thing we're going to do is we'll open up your application server here. So I'll execute the scan here, and we're going to check the application against this RPA control that we made. So I'll kick off the execution, and I'll show you what's happening here behind the scenes. So DCA has started a job, which triggers an OO flow, and that OO flow is going to look at our custom RPA control. And the next thing it's going to do is it's going to kick off this application health check. This is that flow we made in the designer that's going to call the robot. So let's go look and see what's happening on the robot itself. So we'll minimize the designer, and we'll sit here. And oh, look at that. I think there's something wrong with your application, but
Oh no, Jean-Michel will kill me.
yeah. So we'll go back here to DCA, and we should see, as soon as that test fails, we should see this job complete.
Good.
Okay, so now the jobs are completing, the test is
Uh,
completed, and yeah, and so that flow completed, and now the policy scan is complete. And if we go back to DCA, if I refresh this, let's see here if we've got updated status. Oh, look at that. So yeah, your application failed its compliance test. I see
so
here that,
you
go ahead.
did report on it. So you are doing the reporting saying it's not compliant. This is perfect. This is exactly what I'm doing manually today.
Absolutely. So all of this data is available in the report. So when Jean-Michel asks you, how often has this application been non-compliant or offline, you can deliver a report on that. You can also, if the application's offline, you can tell them how long it's been offline. So full reporting capability backed up here in this. So now that we know it's non-compliant, which we can verify here if we go, this is your application, it's not working. Don't worry, we can use DCA to remediate it. So I'm going to go ahead and run a remediation action against that RPA policy. And just like it did the check, it's going to execute some orchestration flows. And first, it's going to start the remediate job. Now what you're going to see next is it's going to open up the application health check. Now, we already did that as the scan, right? And why are we doing that again with the remediation action? Well, it's just what you said earlier. It's before we remediate, it wants to make sure that it actually is still not compliant. So it's opening up the test to test the application again. And if it sure is and still is non-compliant and not working, then it's going to execute the remediation. So if we go back and we look at the robot again, we'll see here that it's indeed trying to test the application again, just like it did before. And we'll wait for that test to complete, and then as soon as that test is complete, we'll see the remediation action kick off. Okay, so now you see that it completed the test, and now it's running remediation. So it's going to execute, and look at that. It's already fixed the application, and now look what it's doing. It's going to check the application again. So if we go back and look at the robot, this time when it kicks off the test, we should see that the application actually loads the way it's supposed to. and works.
Let's see.
Oh, look at that. The application's up.
Wow.
And now I'm not doing anything. My hands are off the keyboard, and the robot is, once it gets this loaded, it's going to execute that test that we recorded earlier. So it'll go ahead and start clicking through the UI, verify that it all works, and hopefully return our compliant result back to DCA. So it's listing the resources. I'm not touching anything. Do you see my mouse moving? My cursor is sitting
No,
in the
no,
screen.
no. It's amazing. I mean, you automated my action, what I do every day.
Yep. So now that that test is complete, we'll go back and we'll see here in OO that now it knows the results post remediation. We'll wait for this flow here, the wrapper flow, to complete. And as soon as that is completed, we can go back and see the results. And if we come back here now and we hit reload, we should see that the application is now compliant. All right, so look at that. The application is now compliant. And we just automated that entire process that Jean-Michel has you doing, from checking the
That's
application like a human to being able to report on it and then remediate it if the application is found to be down. So isn't
that's a,
that the creme de la creme?
no, you mean la crème de la crème. Jean-Michel
Oh,
will be so mad if he hear you right now. You cannot, use this French. Yeah, it's amazing, Derek. It's very amazing. Thank you so much. My boss will be so happy, and I will be able to, focus on, less repetitive tasks and innovation.
absolutely. Well, I'm glad I could help, Michael. And that's what, Microfocus, that's what we do.